Hi guys, I'm filming in a different location today, so if it seems a little dark, I'm sorry about that, but it was the only place I could get some peace to film this video, so here goes. This video is the review of Vodnik by Bryce, and it is a different type of book than I've read before, based on Slavic myths and legends. It was really interesting reading this book. But anyway, I'm going to give you a little brief synopsis and then tell you what I thought. At the age of 5, Thomas has an accident where he almost drowns. And as a result, his arm is severely burned and his lungs are scarred. Which no one can explain how someone drowns and burns at the same time. But after that happens to him, his family moves to America and life moves on. Nothing weird or strange happens to him until the age of 16 when their house burns down with him inside, and he survives with just a little smoke inhalation, no burns, but he swears that the fire did touch his skin and it didn't hurt. So his family then moves back to Slovenia because their insurance couldn't really cover their house, and it was easier to move back to their country and live a little better life than stay in America and have to struggle. So when he moves back, he starts to see strange things. He sees a woman made of fire, a person made of water, and he begins to kind of think that he's going a little crazy. And other stuff begins to happen. He starts to see visions when he is submerged in water, which kind of leads him on a quest to find out what's going on. He discovers that he's a Rasputin. And Rasputin is a mortal that's very hard to kill. And he finds out his cousin, who he meets for the first time since he was 5 years old, is sick, and death basically tempts him into making a proposition, and he does. He makes a deal with death that if he can exchange the soul of his cousin for another, then she would live. So this is how he decides he's going to go after the Vodnik and try and break one of his teacups and release a soul in exchange. A Vodnik is a mythical being that drowns children and steals their souls and put them in teacups. I liked the idea of the bigot gang, which is these 3 kids that give him a hard time. I like the conflict that it brought into the book, and it expanded the story a little bit and gave it a little bit more depth, which also led to Thomas having to learn how to defend himself. And I love the whole idea of this book. I have not read a book like this before, so it was interesting to see where all the Slavic myths come from. And I loved the fact that at the beginning of every book, every chapter, there's an excerpt from the Book of Dead that tells you a little bit about some of the magical creatures that the myths are based on, and I like that. There are a lot of things that were really great. I like the originality of this book. Characters were okay. I mean, they were not exceptional, but they were okay. I love the setting. It was kind of this quaint town that was trapped like in between the old world and this time period, in the sense that the buildings were old but technology was woven into them. The fact that there's a castle in this book is really cool, and I really enjoyed reading this book. What I didn't like was the fact that Thomas, who is a Roma, which is a gypsy, and in Slovak, Romas are considered time wasters, they don't work. There's racism against them, and it's showcased, and you know, there are instances where they show the racism being played out. But what I didn't like, not the fact that they showed it, but the fact that it's mentioned in almost every chapter in the book, to the point of annoyance a little bit. Thomas, he mentions it throughout the whole book, and a little bit. Thomas comes off as kind of a whiner or an angry kid, which kind of soils the story a little bit. I really enjoyed reading this book, and I gave it a 4 out of 5. And I would recommend this book if you're into fantasy, if you read a lot of like books that are based on, that has fairies and fae creatures in it, you probably will like this book. Even if you're not into fantasy, if you want something different to read, then I would pick this up. And it has, you get to escape into a different world, and I kind of like that. So yeah, that's my review, and I hope it's helpful, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.